Tell me you know nothing about homeschooling without telling me you know nothing about homeschooling. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy, the Handmade Homeschooler, and today's topic is things you need to stop asking homeschool moms. Okay, so technically this isn't for the homeschool moms, but it is to make the homeschool moms laugh a little bit. So I thought it would be fun, especially if you are a family member or a friend of somebody that homeschools. I'm gonna give you a couple things not to ask them. So we should just title this, Things to Stop Asking Homeschool Moms. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure you check out our Christian homeschooling group down below in the description box. And I also have links to free curriculum and trials and all that fun stuff too, to the stuff that we personally use if you'd like to try that out. So the first thing that the first piece of advice I would give you as a homeschool mom who's been doing this for a long time is find out why, or try to find out why they're asking. Are they genuinely curious and asking these in a right heart and spirit, or are they asking as a defense mechanism? I find that a lot of parents go on the defense as soon as they find out that you homeschool, because they feel automatically like you're saying to them that you're better than them because you homeschool, which none of us are saying that. And I've never met a homeschooler who truly feels that way, and I'm sure 99.9% of the people watching this don't feel that way either. But to the outside world and to people who are in the public school system, or maybe were forced to do public schooling for whatever reason, they almost get defensive because they feel like you're trying to be better than them. So that's where a lot of these questions come from. So I would tailor your answer to, are they defensive because they don't homeschool, or are they genuinely curious because they want to know more about what you're doing and they're actually interested? So let's get going on this list. I have a list of them. I don't know if I'll get to all of them, but we'll just see how far we can get. The first one, are you qualified to teach? I hate this question so much. I really do. I get asked this all the time from people who know absolutely nothing about homeschool. It's kind of one of those, tell me you know nothing about homeschooling without telling me you know nothing about homeschooling. I know immediately that somebody is very ignorant on all things home education or just education in general if they ask if I'm qualified to teach. Because unless I don't know one of the laws, and I know many of them for many states, and I've never seen this before, but it might be out there somewhere, I don't know. As long as you have a high school diploma, in most states, I'm putting a little disclaimer there just in case, you know, in most states, yes, you are qualified to teach. And the funny thing is a lot of times I kind of want to come back and say, so you want me to put my kids in public school, which is the same place that didn't equip you or I to educate children, but you want me to put my kids back there? Yes, I'm qualified to teach, and as long as you have a high school diploma in most states, you're qualified to teach as well. This question I get a lot, and usually it's a very defensive person who's asking this question. And this question is, so are you saying our schools aren't good enough for you? I've gotten that question many times. A lot of times it's just like a defense, like you're like almost, they feel like you're attacking them and their teachers, when really it might not even be because of that. There are many reasons why people homeschool, so don't automatically assume that people homeschool for the same reasons that you do. And I wish that people would really understand that there's a lot of reasons why we as parents want to home educate our kids. So the next one, is that even legal? I get that question quite often, and I think people tend to forget, or they just have never realized that homeschooling hasn't been illegal in decades. And even then, there were lots of people who did it under the radar. Now, I'm not suggesting that we break the law. I'm not saying that. You know, just be aware of that. However, homeschooling's been legal for decades now. So yes, it's 100% legal in the United States. Other countries, no, it's not. But here in the US, as of right now, yes, it is legal. So this next question isn't even something that people ask me, but it's something that people ask my kids. Don't you ever wish you could go back to public school? When people ask my kids this, I don't understand why people ask my kids this. Because number one, it's not their choice. Even if my kids said they wanted to go to public school, which they've never ever said, that's not their decision. I'm the parent. My husband's the parent. We make that kind of decision. And two, it's none of your business. Like, these questions are so rude. Like, I think that's the most strange part about it is people are so polite and so politically correct about everything else. But when faced with public education versus home education, people get so rude in the things that they ask, and it's just so bizarre to me because I would never think to ask another parent or that parent or the child of that parent those questions. It's so weird to me. Do your kids even like homeschooling? I actually get asked that a lot in my comment section here on YouTube, on the internet, or they'll say something to the effect of, "Oh, I feel so sorry for your kids." And it's like, that's fine. You can feel sorry for my kids all you want. It doesn't change anything. And yes, my kids actually do like being homeschooled. And if you ask my oldest, personally, he would tell you, as he's told many people before without prompting from me, like, yeah, homeschooling is way better. I don't have to work for nearly as long and I have a lot more free time. And sometimes I kind of want to turn around and look at their kids and go, do you really like public school, or do you wish your mom would homeschool you? But then that would be rude of me, so I don't do that. So this really hasn't happened to me, but I have had friends and people tell me online in the Facebook group that when they go to family gatherings like Christmas and Thanksgiving, things like that, where their family's all gathered, that they'll have family members quiz them on times tables, the kids. And it's like, why are you doing this? And honestly, I know just from personal experience, a lot of the people who would be quizzing my kids wouldn't know those answers anyway, you know, and I think that's really bizarre of people to do. And it's kind of one of those things where I want to turn around and do the same thing. And I'll be like, oh, let me ask your son and see if he knows the answer. Because I guarantee you with the test scores that I've been seeing out over the last year, especially post-pandemic, it's not good, y'all. So my kids score way above average on every single subject because we live in one of those states you have to test every single year. And my kids do just fine. And my kids always outscore the average public schoolers. If you quiz my kids, expect me to do the same to yours. And then of course, there's always the, well, are they socialized? And it's like, well, I don't know, Karen, are your kids socialized? You know, what does that even mean? And a lot of times when people ask me that, I'll go, what is socialization? In your opinion, what is being socialized? Can you put a definition behind that? Because I can, but I don't know if you can. And a lot of times they can't. If you come back at them with a question, a lot of times they can't answer that. So are my kids socialized? My kids are doing just fine. They talk to people of all ages, not just their same age peers. They have friends of all ages. I think probably one of my favorite things that people say to me is, wow, your kids are so normal for being homeschoolers. I always have to stop myself from saying the first thing that pops into my mind because usually it would be a very rude comment. And so I'll usually ask them like, well, what do you mean? Are they supposed to be weird? Yeah, it's really weird when people say things like that, like, wow, your kids are so normal. And it's like, wow, thanks, Becky. Your kids are normal too. Hooray. I don't know. What do you say to that? I don't know. I don't even know what to say to these people anymore sometimes, because this can come from everyone, like our friends and family, to just complete strangers or like the cashier at Walmart. And it's just, it's weird. Although I will say it's been less and less since the pandemic, because the rise of homeschoolers, I want to say it's almost like doubled or something like that since the pandemic. And I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome that people took charge of their child's education. And I kind of just want to give all those parents a huge high five. Like, you guys did it. You guys rock. But I do know it is very intimidating at first because everybody is always scared of these questions. So hopefully you got a laugh. Tell me down below in the comments, has anybody asked you those questions, the questions that I've laid out here? And what did you say? Let me know what your response was. Like, were you too stunned? Because I know at the beginning of my homeschooling journey, I was too stunned sometimes to ask these questions. Now that we're, heading into year 8 of homeschooling, nobody really asks me this stuff anymore except for people online, and usually I have some witty response to say back. But at the beginning, I was just like, I didn't know what to say. I was super awkward, and I wish I would have had some of the statistics and things in my brain that I do now back then, so I could have said something smarter. But, it's kind of one of those fact of life things that we just have to accept as homeschoolers, that we are kind of like outsiders as parents, and even though we're growing, we're still kind of like the outsiders, and people just sometimes don't know how to react other than just to ask a really inappropriate question. All right, guys, that is all I have for this video. Also, down in the comments, if you have been asked something weird that I did not say in this video, pop it down below in the comment box. I want to know, what are some of the weirdest things that people have asked you about being a homeschool parent, or asked your kids? Like, what are some of the most ridiculous things that people have said? Because I have heard so many just hilarious things over the years, and I would love to see what people have asked you or your kids. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and happy homeschooling.